Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I talk about long hair. It is so hot today. I can't even tell you. It went over 100 degrees Fahrenheit today here in the Boston area, and when I film, I can't put on my air conditioner because it is way too loud. We just have window units, and the one that we have for the downstairs is this enormous one that's a few years old, and it makes a ton of noise. It makes it like a fridge in here, but it does make it really, really loud. So it's not great for filming. So I'm going to try to do this one really, really quickly because I am going to sweat through this, and that's not very pretty. Today I actually want to talk about something to do with how hot it is right now, and that is surviving the summer when you have long hair. It's not just about keeping cool, which can be something that you might not be used to when you're used to having very short hairstyles. When you suddenly get long hair, especially long hair that's down as long as mine is, or it starts touching the back of your neck, suddenly you realize that having this much hair around your neck on top of your head is like wearing a hat made out of hair, or a scarf made out of hair, or a hat and a scarf made out of hair. So here are a couple of things to do to keep cool and also to protect your hair during the summer months. So for today I have 5 tips to keep you cool in the summer, but mostly to protect your hair during the summer months. Number 5, of course, is to try to keep your hair off of your neck as much as possible. When you have hair as long as this, the main thing that happens is your hair just right here, right along the back of your neck, is going to cause you to start sweating and start feeling really, really hot. It's like wearing a turtleneck on the back of your head, on the back of your neck. So if you can learn to do a style that can bring it up, I do have a bun tutorial that I did last week. If you want to call it a man bun, go right ahead. But if you learn to bun your hair, or you can just put it in a higher ponytail up above your head. You also can throw that into a cap, or if you wanted to use a beanie, you could, but beanies in the summertime, I know some guys can do it, I can't, makes me incredibly hot. So my number 5 tip is to make sure that you keep your hair off your neck. Number 4 is to make sure that you keep your hair protected from the sun, and that's from the UV rays from the sun. People remember to put on sunscreen and SPF on their skin because it makes sense, but they seem to think that your scalp is completely protected by your hair, which, depending on how thick your hair is, it might be difficult for your sun to get in, for the UV rays to get through to your scalp, but your scalp can burn. And also, your hair can get very damaged from UV rays, so make sure you're using an SPF product. It can be within the styling products that you use on your hair. There are also shampoos and conditioners that have it. Or if you happen to be out on someplace where you are out in the sun for a long time, like the pool, like a beach, just outside playing sports, if you're already putting SPF on your face and on your body, why not, especially those spray SPF sunscreens, just put it through your hair. It might not make your hair feel all that good while you have it on, but if you're going to go back inside and take a shower anyway, you can just get rid of it when you're done. Speaking of sports and outdoor activities, number 3 is to protect your hair from the chlorine and the salt and anything that has to do with going in the water. It's great to go outside. It's great to have a swim in the pool. If you're going in a pool, especially a pool that uses chlorine, most public pools tend to use chlorine. It's really damaging to your hair, and your hair really could use some protection from that as well. So before you go into the pool, make sure that maybe you take a little bit of hair conditioner and just run it through your hair. You don't need a lot, and nobody who has a pool really wants you to have a big, thick, gunky bunch of conditioner in your hair when you go in. So you don't need a lot in order to just put a slight barrier around your hair before you jump in the pool. You also could put it into a braid if you happen to have enough hair to do that. A lot of my younger nieces actually put their hair into these fishtail braids that work really nicely. They don't have to be especially tight, but because it's a complicated structure of many, many little braids on top of each other, the water doesn't have enough surface area to get really, really deeply into the hair, and that seems to make a big difference. Also, if you have a lighter color hair like blonde, or if you have colored your hair, especially if you're doing one of those lighter colors like gray, if you jump in the pool, your hair can turn green from the chlorine. So make sure that when you come out of the pool as well, that if you've got your hair, you want to make sure that you've got it out, the chlorine out of your hair. Just take a rinse. You don't have to wash your hair with shampoo and conditioner in order to get rid of all of that chlorine. You can just do a quick rinse, maybe a little bit of conditioner in your hair just to keep it nice and smooth while you are outdoors. Speaking of the way that your hair can look when you are outdoors, in the sun, getting damaged, the sun, the humidity, the heat, all of that can make your hair look very limp and lifeless or frizzy. Try to consider using a little bit more conditioner or more oil when you are getting into the summer months, or right now when you're deep into the summer months. Hair oils like argan oil or coconut oil, you can just use a small drop, like even smaller than the size of a US dime. Just rub that in and hit the ends of your hair especially. You can put it throughout all of your hair, but the ends of your hair tend to fray quite a bit when the heat just dries them up. Remember, if you're not using heat styling tools, if you're going out where it's 95 degrees with even a slight breeze, you're basically getting the same thing as a hairdryer would be doing to your hair. It's drying quickly, it's drying every time you go outside, so make sure that you're going to condition it a little bit more, give it a little bit more tender loving care than you would during the winter months, or at least a different way of taking care of your hair. My final recommendation for the summer months is perhaps to get a little bit taken off of the ends. Now, I know that I do recommend, if you're growing your hair out, to avoid getting trims during the original growing months, but there is a type of trim called a dusting. That's one of those terms that seems to make sense to hairdressers that the rest of us might not have heard about. A dusting is just taking off the absolute smallest amount of hair at the ends of your hair without cutting any length. It's basically trying to get all of those split ends to be cut away. The reason that you want to get your hair trimmed is because if you have any split ends at all, the damage from the sun, from chlorine, from the humidity, from putting your hair up and taking it down, from putting it in caps, from washing a lot, which you may do if you are outside getting sweaty, and then running into the shower. Remember, your split ends, if they have any chance at all, are going to start pulling apart and pulling all the way up your hair. So you may want to just visit your hairdresser and say, I'm going in, I want to protect my ends during the summer months. So could I get a dusting? Could I get a very, very, very light trim in order to keep that safe from all of the elements? Thanks so much for joining me. If you have any recommendations for how to stay cool in the summer months or how to protect your hair in the summer months, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, this would be a great time to do so. I'm here every Tuesday with long hair facts and tips and tricks. During the rest of the week, we do other things on this channel. On Thursdays, I make a 3-ingredient recipe, and on weekends, my cat George talks about good self-esteem. Thanks very much for joining me. I'll talk to you next time.